The stars stretched endlessly around Nereid Station, a massive wheel-shaped orbital hub that spun slowly in the void. Ships of every shape and color came and went, trading goods that were ordinary to some but priceless to others. From bioengineered plants that glowed in darkness to crystals that stored memory, the bazaar was alive with a hum of commerce and chatter, a song of countless species mingling together. Among the stalls, humans were rare. Centuries ago, humanity had spread across the stars, but for many alien species, humans had become a curiosity, small, fragile, and often underestimated. They were seen as clever but not strong, emotional but not disciplined, adaptable but not reliable. That reputation made humans cheap commodities in some corners of the galaxy. In the middle of the market, a small sign hung above a crate. Its letters were faded, almost laughing at the absurdity of the message. Human. 5 credits. Inside the crate sat a girl no older than 16 by Earth standards. Her hair was tangled, her clothes simple, yet her eyes sparkled with a light that seemed to see more than the market could offer. She had been trained in human arts, long forgotten by most. She could read people with uncanny precision, remember histories others had lost, and solve problems in ways that no alien mind had considered. Yet, here she was, listed for less than the price of a common food packet. Jace Corbin stood across the aisle, his hands resting on the rail of his hover scooter. He was a cowboy of the stars. Though the frontier he rode was no dusty plain, it was the endless black sky, dotted with systems that few had visited. He had heard stories of the girl before he saw her. Humans who were sold for tiny sums, dismissed as weak or insignificant. Most would have walked past without a second thought, but Jace did not. He squinted at the crate, studying her eyes. There was something about her calm patience that struck him. Most humans would have shouted, cried, or begged to escape. Yet she simply observed the chaos of the market. Her gaze was quiet, but it carried a message. I am more than what you see. Jace approached the stall. The alien vendor, a green-scaled creature with 4 eyes, noticed him immediately. Ah, human buyer? The vendor hissed, mistaking Jace's curiosity for interest in resale. This one is cheap, only 5 credits. A good bargain, yes? Jace shook his head. I'm not buying her for the market. His voice was calm but firm, the kind of voice that made others pause. I'm buying her for honor. The vendor tilted its head, unsure whether that was a compliment or an insult. Honor? Your kind humans have little of that in business. Why waste credits on pride? Jace smiled faintly. Because some things are worth more than credits. The transaction was simple. Almost too simple. 5 credits transferred, and the girl was free from the crate that had held her. She rose carefully, brushing off dust from her simple tunic. She gave Jace a small nod. Respectful but guarded. She had learned long ago that trust was rare, even in humans. As they walked through the bustling lanes of the bazaar, the girl looked around, absorbing the sights and sounds. Merchants called out their wares in dozens of languages, and strange creatures shuffled alongside their carts. Some glided above the market on anti-grav boards, others scurried like insects, and yet, all seemed connected by the shared energy of trade. Where are we going? She finally asked, her voice soft but clear. Somewhere away from this chaos, Jace said. But first, I want you to tell me your name. The girl hesitated, then said, Lyra. Lyra, he repeated, testing the sound. It suited her, he thought. Like a song waiting to be sung. As they moved past a stall selling glowing orbs that pulsed like miniature suns, Lyra's curiosity became evident. She asked questions, simple ones, yet meaningful. Why do some of these creatures speak so loudly? And why do humans sell for such low prices here? Jace chuckled. They don't understand us. Humans are clever, adaptable, but most species only see strength in muscle or firepower. They don't value knowledge, empathy, or creativity. They see us as fragile. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. Fragile, but surviving, Jace nodded. Exactly. And surviving is only part of the story. Humans adapt. We find ways to turn weakness into strength. Sometimes, the things others dismiss are our greatest weapons. They reached Jace's ship, a rugged vessel named the Pathfinder. Its hull was scratched from years of travel, its engines humbly powerful. It wasn't flashy, but it was dependable, a reflection of its owner. "Climb aboard," Jace said. "We're leaving the market behind." Lyra hesitated for a moment before stepping onto the ship. As she walked, she realized something she had not felt in a long time: respect. For the first time, someone had looked at her and saw more than a price tag. He saw her mind, her spirit, her potential. The ship lifted off slowly, leaving Narration Station behind. Below, the orbital city shrank into a maze of spinning lights. Above, the stars stretched endlessly. For Lyra, this was the first time she felt like she was part of something larger. Not a commodity in a galactic trade. "Where are we headed?" she asked again, though her tone now carried a hint of anticipation rather than fear. "Somewhere humans can shine," Jace replied. "Somewhere we can show the galaxy that we are worth more than a few credits." Lyra smiled faintly. She had studied humans from history, from the fragments of old Earth stories, and she knew the truth of his words. Humanity had always been underestimated, yet it survived, adapted, and thrived in the face of impossibility. As the stars streamed past the viewport of the Pathfinder, Lyra began to share her knowledge. She spoke of old Earth philosophies, strategies for negotiation, and ways to understand the minds of other species. Jace listened carefully, impressed by her clarity and insight. He realized that she was not just a survivor, she was a teacher, a thinker, and perhaps a leader of human potential. Hours passed, and the conversation flowed naturally. The bond between the two grew quietly, built on trust and respect. Jace did not see a child. He saw a partner. Lyra did not see a guardian. She saw someone who believed in her. By the time the first distant planets appeared on the ship's sensors, Lyra's wonder had transformed into excitement. The universe was vast, and there were endless opportunities to prove what humans could achieve. No longer sold for 5 credits, she was now free to explore, to learn, and to show her worth, not to survive, but to thrive. Jace turned from the controls and looked at her. "The galaxy thinks humans are weak," he said. "It's time we teach them otherwise." Lyra nodded, determination lighting her face. "Then let's begin." And so, the Pathfinder sailed into the endless stars, carrying with it a new story of humanity. One, not defined by cheap trade or forgotten skills, but by courage, intelligence, and honor. The market of forgotten worlds was left behind, but its lesson remained clear. The true value of a human could never be measured in credits. As they passed through the first belt of glowing asteroids, Lyra realized something important. This journey was not just about escaping the past, it was about showing the galaxy that humans, even when underestimated, had the ability to inspire, negotiate, and create wonders that no alien species could ignore. And in that quiet moment, between the hum of the engines and the endless twinkle of stars, she knew that her story was just beginning. The stars streamed past the Pathfinder like silver ribbons, and the endless dark of space seemed less intimidating when shared. Lyra sat beside the navigation console, her fingers tracing the smooth edges of the instrument panels, her mind alive with curiosity. Every button, every display, every flicker of light was a puzzle waiting to be solved. She had grown up in cramped human colonies, where knowledge of technology was rare, yet here she had the chance to learn and teach at the same time. Jace watched her quietly from the pilot's seat. He could feel the sharpness in her gaze, the way she observed every movement, every calculation. Most humans at her age would have been frightened, clinging to their small comforts. Lyra seemed to thrive on challenge, on learning, on finding patterns where others only saw chaos. After a long silence, she finally spoke. "Why did you buy me for 5 credits? Why not leave me there?" Jace glanced at her, his expression calm, yet thoughtful. "Because the price didn't matter. The market, the traders, their judgments, they mean nothing to me. I saw something in you that they couldn't. They saw a number. I saw a mind, and in this galaxy, minds are far more powerful than numbers. Lyra nodded slowly. She had read stories about Earth long ago, tales of explorers and cowboys who rode the frontiers with honor. Jace was like one of those stories. Though his frontier was the void, she could see that he had a code, a sense of what was right, beyond rules and laws. I want to learn, she said quietly. Not just about ships or stars, but about people, about how humans can matter when others underestimate them. Jace smiled faintly. Then you've already begun. Their first stop was not a market, not a colony, nor a bustling spaceport. It was a quiet asteroid belt known only to a few traders. Jace called it the Whispering Belt, named for the soft, constant hum of charged minerals that made the ship's sensors sing with strange harmonics. To most, it was useless space, empty and uninteresting. But Jace saw opportunity where others saw nothing. Why here? Lyra asked, glancing at the glittering rocks floating in silence. Because most traders avoid this place, Jace said. They think it's dangerous, but it's not. It's ignored. And when others ignore you, that's when humans can shine. Lyra watched as he maneuvered the Pathfinder through narrow passages between massive rocks. The ship moved with care and precision, almost like a living thing responding to its pilot's thoughts. As they drifted deeper, Lyra began to notice patterns in the vibrations and the way the light reflected off the minerals. These rocks, they form a kind of map, she said, pointing at a cluster of glowing fragments. Jace turned his head, impressed. You see it. Most people only see rocks. But humans see possibilities. She smiled. So, what do we do with this map? We use it, he said simply. There's a trader nearby who's lost in the belt. He's been trying to find a rare mineral called arcanite for weeks. Most species would give up or pay someone else to search. But we can find it ourselves. And when we do, we'll show that humans can succeed where others fail. For the next several hours, Lyra and Jace worked together. She analyzed the patterns, calculating the probable paths of mineral clusters. Jace piloted the ship with skill and patience, trusting her instincts even when they seemed unconventional. Slowly, they pieced together a hidden vein of arcanite, glowing faintly between two massive asteroids. The discovery was small, but it was significant. Lyra's excitement was contagious. We did it. We found it before anyone else, Jace chuckled, shaking his head. And without spending a single credit on a guide or a map. That's the difference humans bring to the galaxy. As they collected the mineral, Lyra reflected on their success. Here, in a place no one else cared about, she felt her worth. The market had said she was cheap, worth nothing more than 5 credits. Yet here she was, proving her value not through money, but through thought, skill, and insight. Once the arcanite was safely stored, Jace set a course for a nearby spaceport, one that specialized in trade with multiple species. They would sell the mineral not for greed, but to show that humans could operate with fairness, cleverness, and honor. The spaceport was bustling, alive with energy. Traders from dozens of systems bartered for goods, their languages mixing into a chaotic melody. Lyra felt a surge of confidence. She stepped beside Jace as he spoke to the station officials, and together they presented the arcanite, explaining its origin and how they had located it. To their surprise, the other traders listened closely. Lyra noticed the curiosity in their eyes. They had not expected humans to navigate the Whispering Belt, let alone find a rare mineral without expensive instruments or extensive crews. A blue-skinned alien approached them, eyes wide. You did this alone? Your species is underestimated, Lyra smiled. Yes, humans are often underestimated. But we adapt, we observe, and we find solutions. That's what makes us valuable. That we oldies see. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder, proud. It's not just the find, it's the way we do it. Honor, intelligence, patience. Things that matter more than credits. The alien nodded slowly, clearly impressed. Perhaps we have judged humans too quickly. Lyra realized something important in that moment. Respect was not given, it was earned. And in the galaxy, humans could earn it not through force, but through action, through cleverness, through integrity. After their success at the spaceport, Jace and Lyra returned to the Pathfinder. The small victories were important, but the lessons were greater. Lyra had learned that her mind, her observation, and her empathy were weapons in their own right, and Jace had learned that this young human could guide him in ways he had never expected, teaching him strategies and insights that went beyond instinct. As they traveled through the quiet of space, Lyra asked, "Jace, do you think humans can really be respected among all these species?" He looked at her, his gaze steady. "I know they can. You just have to show them. Humans have always survived. Not because we are the strongest, but because we think differently. We solve problems others ignore, and sometimes we inspire others without even trying." Lyra thought about the market where she had been sold. 5 credits. A price so small it had almost broken her spirit. But now she understood. The market had been wrong. It had only measured her in numbers, never in potential. And human potential was infinite. Hours passed, and the stars shifted outside the viewport. Lyra leaned back, allowing herself to dream for the first time in years. She imagined new worlds, new opportunities, and new ways to show that humans could achieve greatness. She imagined a galaxy where humans were not dismissed, not sold cheaply, but respected and admired for what they could do. Jace glanced at her, noticing the spark of determination. "We're going to make a difference," he said quietly. "Not by fighting, not by force, but by showing the galaxy what humans are capable of." Lyra smiled, feeling a warmth she had not felt in a long time. "Then let's keep going. Let's show them." As the Pathfinder glided past asteroid fields and nebulae, Lyra began to teach Jace more than navigation or strategy. She spoke of human stories, of old Earth philosophies, and of lessons learned through history. He listened carefully, absorbing her knowledge, realizing that this young girl was shaping him as much as he was guiding her. And so, the journey continued not just through space, but into the heart of what it meant to be human. They would face challenges, meet other species, and explore unknown worlds. Yet one truth was already clear. No price could measure the worth of a human mind, and no market could define the honor they carried. In that quiet moment between stars, Lyra understood that being sold for 5 credits was only the beginning. The real journey was about proving that humans, even when underestimated, had the power to inspire, to negotiate, and to shape the galaxy with intelligence, respect, and honor. And as the Pathfinder sailed into deeper space, both pilot and passenger knew that together, they could achieve more than either had ever imagined. The void of space stretched endlessly before the Pathfinder, black and silent, yet alive with possibilities. Lyra had grown accustomed to the gentle hum of the ship, the soft vibrations of its engines, and the endless stars that seemed to whisper secrets from distant worlds. Her mind was alive with excitement and curiosity, absorbing every detail of navigation, trade, and strategy that Jace shared. "Where are we headed next?" Lyra asked, her eyes scanning the console. Jace adjusted the ship's course. "We're going through the Veil Nebula. It's dangerous, but it's not impossible. Most traders avoid it entirely, which makes it perfect for us." Lyra tilted her head. "Why perfect?" "Because it's overlooked. And when others overlook you, that's when humans have the advantage. We're adaptable, clever, and patient. The nebula is just a puzzle waiting to be solved." As they approached the nebula, a dense curtain of swirling gases and charged particles filled the viewport. Colors shimmered and twisted in strange patterns, emerald greens, deep purples, and fiery oranges that made the stars beyond seem distant and muted. The nebula was beautiful, yet treacherous. Ships that entered without preparation risked damage, miscalculation, or worse, becoming lost in the twisting clouds of plasma. Lyra's fingers moved across the console with careful precision, analyzing the swirling currents. These particles, They're not random. There's a pattern here. Look. She pointed to a series of faint lines, forming a natural path through the gas. Jace leaned closer. Impressed. You see it. Most pilots only see the danger. You see the route. With Lyra's guidance, Jace piloted the Pathfinder through the nebula, following the faint lines of light she identified. The ship weaved carefully, dodging pockets of dense plasma and navigating the shifting currents with a precision that only a human mind could calculate in real time. Lyra's excitement was visible, a bright spark of determination in her eyes. Hours passed as they moved deeper. Suddenly, the ship's sensors pinged. A small convoy of alien traders had entered the nebula, seemingly lost. Their ships were drifting, and their communications crackled with panic. Lyra leaned forward. They're stuck. They don't know this path. We can help them. Jace raised an eyebrow. Help them? That's risky. Lyra shook her head. Not if we're careful. We can guide them through the safe path I found. It's the right thing to do, and it shows what humans can do. Jace studied her, a small smile forming. You're right. Let's show them. Guided by Lyra's calculations, the Pathfinder moved alongside the drifting convoy. Using the ship's communication system, Lyra sent clear directions, guiding each vessel step by step through the safest channels of the nebula. The alien traders, surprised and hesitant at first, followed carefully. One by one, their ships emerged from the swirling gases into calm space beyond the nebula. The aliens were amazed. You guided us, one of them said, its voice trembling with gratitude. Humans, you are clever. Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of pride she had not felt in years. We just observed carefully. Sometimes, understanding the environment is more important than force or weapons. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. See? That's the power of humans. Not brute strength, but intelligence, patience, and careful observation. That's what makes us valuable. The aliens exchanged looks, clearly reconsidering their previous assumptions about humanity. They had always thought humans were fragile, emotional, and unreliable. Yet here was a young girl who had saved their convoy without a single weapon, without aggression, without payment. As the last ship passed safely, Lyra exhaled. Jace nodded, his eyes reflecting pride and admiration. You did more than guide them. You proved humans can inspire respect just by thinking, caring, and acting with honor. The convoy expressed their gratitude and offered a small gift of rare nebula crystals. Lyra and Jace accepted politely, but the true reward was the recognition of human capability. The galaxy had begun to notice, even in small ways, that humans were not to be underestimated. Once the nebula was behind them, the stars returned to their quiet brilliance. Lyra leaned back, her mind racing with possibilities. There's so much out there. So many chances to show that humans are different. Jace smiled. And we'll take them all. You're learning fast, Lyra. But remember, humans don't just survive by cleverness. We survive by seeing opportunity where others see danger, by using what others ignore, and by acting with integrity. That's the advantage no one can take away. Lyra nodded, absorbing his words. She realized that her journey was about more than survival or escape. It was about proving that humanity's true strength lay in creativity, adaptability, and moral courage. Days passed as they traveled beyond the nebula. Lyra continued to teach Jace, sharing strategies and insights from human history. She spoke of diplomacy, negotiation, and the importance of understanding other cultures. Jace listened carefully, applying her lessons in every interaction they had with traders, merchants, and explorers. One day, while charting a course through a dense asteroid field, they received a distress signal. A small mining vessel had been trapped by a collapsing rock formation, and the miners were stranded with limited oxygen. Lyra's eyes lit up with determination. We can help them, she said. It's another chance to prove humans are valuable. Jace nodded. Then let's do it. But this time, will combine brains and careful piloting. Think and act carefully. Together, they analyzed the situation. Lyra calculated the precise movement of the rocks and suggested a path that would allow the Pathfinder to reach the miners without triggering further collapse. Jace piloted the ship with complete trust in her guidance. Slowly, carefully, they maneuvered through the maze of asteroids, reaching the trapped vessel. Using a series of tethered lines, they guided the miners safely onto their ship. The miners were exhausted, but grateful, and they praised the humans for their intelligence and bravery. Lyra realized that once again, humans had succeeded not through force, but through thought, observation, and collaboration. As they left the asteroid field, Lyra and Jace shared a quiet moment. "Do you see it now?" Lyra asked. "Humans may be underestimated, but we can make a difference without weapons or money. Just by thinking, understanding, and acting with respect." Jace nodded. "Exactly. And each time we help, each time we solve a problem others ignore, we're building a reputation for humans, one that can't be bought, sold, or ignored." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of purpose. For the first time, she understood that her life was no longer measured in credits or the opinions of a market. It was measured in actions, in intelligence, in honor, and in the ability to inspire respect across the stars. The day ended with the Pathfinder gliding past a distant planet, its atmosphere glowing softly in the starlight. Lyra gazed at it, imagining the people who might live there, the cultures they might meet, and the opportunities to demonstrate human ingenuity. "We'll keep going, won't we?" she asked. Jace smiled. "Everywhere humans can matter, we'll be there. And with you, Lyra, we'll prove that being underestimated doesn't mean being weak. It means we have the chance to surprise the galaxy." Lyra leaned back, watching the stars stream past. She realized that this was only the beginning. The nebula had been a test, but the galaxy held countless challenges, puzzles, and opportunities, and humans, even when dismissed or underestimated, had the power to navigate them all with intelligence, patience, and honor. And as the Pathfinder sailed onward, Lyra felt the quiet thrill of discovery. The universe was vast, full of unknowns. Yet she was no longer afraid. For the first time, she knew her value not as a commodity, but as a human, capable of greatness. And somewhere deep in space, among swirling gases and distant stars, the galaxy began to notice. Humans were not weak, and they were far more than a number or a price. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and carriers of honor. And that knowledge, though small for now, would grow. Lyra smiled to herself. The real tests were only beginning, and she was ready. The stars shimmered like scattered jewels against the black canvas of space as the Pathfinder approached Arendor Station, a neutral hub where multiple species met to discuss trade, diplomacy, and exploration. The station floated silently in orbit around a blue-green planet, its massive rings reflecting starlight, like polished silver. Here, conflicts were resolved, deals were made, and reputations were built or destroyed. Lyra watched from the viewport, her mind racing. "This is it, isn't it?" she asked softly. "The place where humans can finally show what we're worth." Jace nodded. "This is where the galaxy watches. It's not enough to survive, Lyra. Here, we prove that humans have honor, intelligence, and respect. That's how we'll be remembered." Lyra's fingers itched to help. She had learned navigation, strategy, and negotiation over their journey, but she had also discovered something deeper: the power of human morality, ethics, and empathy. These were lessons alien species often ignored, yet they could be far more persuasive than strength or numbers. As they docked at Arendor Station, the bustle of the central hub greeted them. Traders of all shapes and sizes moved through the corridors, conversing in dozens of languages. Holo ads flashed above, offering everything from rare metals to interstellar mapping data. In the middle of it all, a council of species waited, tasked with resolving a growing dispute between two neighboring star systems over the rights to an uninhabited asteroid cluster rich with resources. Jace guided Lyra toward the council chamber. "We're here not just to observe," he said. "We're here to participate. And your knowledge of humans and their ways can make a difference." Lyra took a deep breath. The council chamber was vast, circular, and filled with representatives from dozens of species. Each one had their own ideas, their own prejudices, and their own rules. Humans had rarely been taken seriously in such places, but today, Lyra was determined to change that. The dispute had been going on for months. The two systems, Virelia and Sotara, had claimed overlapping rights to the asteroid cluster, and negotiations had repeatedly failed. Each side brought fleets, maps, and legal teams, but none could reach an agreement. Lyra's mind raced. She had studied human laws, ethics, and history. She remembered stories of mediation, compromise, and creative solutions. She began to speak softly to Jace, outlining a plan that combined human logic with diplomacy. "First," she whispered, "we need to show them the potential for cooperation. Then, we guide them toward a solution that benefits both. We don't force them. We demonstrate it's possible." Jace nodded. "Let's do it." When they entered the chamber, silence fell. Humans were rare here, and Lyra's small frame and calm demeanor drew curious looks. But she ignored them, focusing on the task at hand. She stepped forward and began. "Honorable representatives of Virelia and Sotara, I understand your concerns. This asteroid cluster is valuable, and both of your systems have a right to its resources. But I believe there is a way to ensure that both of you benefit, without conflict or loss." The council listened, some skeptically, some intrigued. Lyra continued, explaining a solution based on phased mining, shared technology, and joint management. She used clear examples, simple reasoning, and historical references from human diplomacy that had resolved conflicts long ago. Jace observed from the side, proud of her clarity and confidence. He had always known humans could think creatively, but seeing Lyra articulate a solution that could change the minds of multiple species in real time was inspiring. One of the Virelian representatives spoke, its voice rough but thoughtful. "You propose cooperation. Yet how can we trust that Sotara will follow?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Trust is built through small actions. By starting together, sharing resources, and showing mutual benefit, both sides gain more than they would by fighting. Humans have learned this for centuries. We survive by understanding, by compromise, and by acting with honor." A Sotaran diplomat raised its multi-limbed hand. "Your words. They carry weight. But words are not enough. How can we be certain humans can guide us fairly?" Jace stepped forward. "You don't have to trust humans blindly. You only have to see what they do. We offer a model, not a command. Let the actions speak, and the results will prove themselves." For hours, the discussion continued. Lyra spoke calmly, clearly, and with unwavering logic. She explained human approaches to conflict resolution, fairness, and shared responsibility. Slowly, the council began to shift. The representatives, who had come expecting stubborn debate and power struggles, now listened, taking notes and asking questions. By the end of the session, the council reached a historic decision. Virelia and Sotara would jointly manage the asteroid cluster, sharing resources, technology, and profits equally. The compromise was elegant, fair, and sustainable, and it had been guided by the insight of a human a young girl once sold for 5 credits. The chamber erupted in quiet murmurs, a mixture of respect and surprise. One elder representative approached Lyra. "You are remarkable. Humans may have been underestimated, but today you have shown us their true worth." Lyra's heart swelled with pride, but she remained humble. "We only demonstrated what humans can do when given respect and opportunity. That's all." Jace put a hand on her shoulder, beaming. "You've just changed the way the galaxy thinks about humans, Lyra. That's honor in action." After leaving the chamber, Lyra and Jace returned to the Pathfinder. The ship glided past the station's outer rings, and Lyra looked out at the stars. She reflected on the journey so far, the market where she had been sold, the nebula they had navigated, and the asteroid miners they had saved. Each challenge had been a step toward proving human worth, and each step had strengthened her confidence. Jace broke the silence. "Do you feel it?" he asked. "The galaxy is starting to notice. Your actions, our teamwork, it's leaving a mark." Lyra nodded. "I feel it. Humans are more than what anyone expects. We can solve problems, inspire others, and act with honor. It's not about strength or credits, it's about intelligence and respect." Jace smiled. "Exactly. And now, it's time to take that further. There are more worlds, more councils, more species who need to see what humans can do." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Then let's keep going. The galaxy is big, and there's so much we can show them." As they set course for the next system, Lyra realized that her journey was no longer just about freedom. It was about proving human potential. She had been underestimated, undervalued, and dismissed, but now she carried a message that could change perceptions across the stars. Humans were adaptable, clever, and honorable. They could negotiate, inspire, and solve problems in ways no other species could. And Lyra, once sold for 5 credits, was at the forefront of this quiet revolution. The Pathfinder sailed on, carrying with it not just a ship and its crew, but a new story. A story of humanity rising from neglect to respect, of intelligence and integrity triumphing over ignorance, and of honor guiding every action. And somewhere in the distant reaches of the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Humans were not weak. They were not insignificant. And they were far more than anyone had imagined. Lyra smiled to herself, looking at Jace, the stars, and the endless possibilities ahead. She knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of human honor, and soon, it would see much more. For the first time, she felt truly powerful, not through weapons, not through wealth, but through thought, courage, and the quiet strength of respect. And as the Pathfinder glided past nebulae and planets, Lyra and Jace prepared for the next challenge, knowing that humans had the power to inspire change wherever they went. The story of a girl once sold for 5 credits was no longer about a price. It was about proving that humans, when given respect and opportunity, could shape the galaxy with honor, intelligence, and courage. The stars stretched endlessly before the Pathfinder, their silent brilliance filling the vast emptiness of space. Lyra sat at the navigation console, her fingers lightly tracing the controls as she watched distant nebulae glow in vibrant colors. The galaxy was alive, full of possibilities, and for the first time in her life, she felt truly part of it. Jace, ever watchful, piloted the ship with quiet confidence. His eyes scanned the star charts, noting routes that others would consider too dangerous, too complex, or too unprofitable. But he knew the truth. Humans thrived where others hesitated. Their ability to adapt, think, and act with honor was unmatched. And Lyra was the perfect example of that potential. "Where to next?" Lyra asked, her voice carrying both curiosity and determination. Jace smiled faintly. "We're headed to the Council of Systems. It's a place where disputes, alliances, and trade agreements are made across hundreds of worlds. If humans are going to reclaim their reputation, this is where it will happen." Lyra's heart raced. She had faced markets that sold humans cheaply, navigated deadly nebulae, and mediated interstellar disputes. But the Council of Systems was larger, more complex, and infinitely more important. It was a place where influence mattered, and where humans had long been overlooked. As they approached the council station, a massive structure floated in orbit around a gas giant. Its towers glimmered in the light of the nearby star, and shuttles buzzed like fireflies around its rings. Ships from dozens of systems docked and departed, each carrying ambassadors, traders, and diplomats. "Lyra," Jace said, turning to her, "this is it. Everything we've done, the nebula, the asteroid miners, The disputes we've solved led to this. Now, humans get a chance to show that our worth isn't measured in credits, but in intelligence, integrity, and honor. Lyra nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. She remembered the crate, the market, and the 5 credits that had once defined her value. She also remembered Jace's words, "Some things are worth more than numbers," and now, she had the chance to prove that humanity's value was infinite. They docked the ship and entered the council chamber. It was vast, circular, and illuminated by a soft, ambient light. Representatives from countless species filled the room, their eyes fixed on the central platform where ambassadors addressed the assembly. Many looked at humans with curiosity, some with skepticism, and others with faint amusement. Lyra took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Honorable representatives," she began, her voice clear and steady. "Humans have often been underestimated. We have been sold for trivial amounts, ignored in disputes, and dismissed in councils like this. But today, we are here to show that humans are capable of more than anyone has imagined." A murmur ran through the assembly. Lyra ignored it and continued. She spoke of human history, highlighting achievements, survival, and creativity. She explained how humans had learned to solve problems where others failed, to cooperate when others fought, and to act with honor even when the odds seemed impossible. Jace watched silently from the side, knowing that every word she spoke was shaping the perception of humanity. Lyra had grown into a confident, intelligent ambassador. Her calm, reasoned approach commanded respect in a way that force or money never could. A representative from the Zyphron Collective spoke. "Words are easy. Actions are what prove value. Humans have spoken here before, and yet history shows little evidence of your worth." Lyra nodded, expecting the challenge. "You are correct. Words alone are not enough. That is why I present examples of our actions. We have guided lost convoys through dangerous nebulae, resolved disputes between rival systems without conflict, and demonstrated that humans think creatively where others see only danger. Our actions, not our words, show our worth." The assembly listened intently as Jace displayed records, maps, and accounts of the missions they had completed together. The nebula rescue, the asteroid miners, the shared asteroid cluster, all documented and clear. Slowly, the representatives began to see humans in a new light, not as weak or trivial, but as capable, clever, and honorable. A Soteran delegate spoke, its multiple eyes reflecting surprise. This is impressive. Humans can think, adapt, and act with integrity. Perhaps we have misjudged your species." Lyra smiled, feeling the weight of years of doubt and dismissal lift slightly. Human worth has never been measured in credits, in weapons, or in appearance. Our value lies in our ability to observe, understand, and act with respect and intelligence. That is why we are here today, to remind the galaxy that humans, even when underestimated, have infinite potential. The council deliberated for hours. Lyra presented strategies for cooperation, trade, and conflict resolution that could benefit multiple systems. Jace added his own experience, showing how humans could navigate dangerous space routes, negotiate deals, and solve problems others considered impossible. By the end, the council reached a consensus. Humans would be officially recognized as capable mediators, explorers, and contributors across multiple systems. It was a historic moment. Representatives shook hands, exchanged nods, and offered congratulations. Whispers of respect spread quickly. Humans, once dismissed, were now being recognized for their intelligence, creativity, and honor. As Lyra and Jace left the chamber, the young human reflected on how far she had come. She had been sold for 5 credits in a bustling market, a number meant to define her value. But that price had been meaningless. Her worth had always been measured in action, thought, and integrity. And now, the galaxy had finally begun to see it. Jace clapped her on the shoulder. "You've done it, Lyra. You've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. And this is only the beginning." Lyra nodded, looking out at the stars. "It's not just me. It's all humans. We survive, we adapt, and we create solutions no one else can." Today, the galaxy knows that. And tomorrow, they'll see even more. Their journey continued beyond the council. They traveled to distant colonies, trading posts, and uncharted systems. Everywhere they went, humans were no longer overlooked. Traders sought their advice, other species asked for guidance, and small acts of intelligence and honor began to ripple across the stars. Lyra taught other humans they met along the way, sharing lessons of diplomacy, observation, and ethical decision-making. Jace guided young pilots, explorers, and traders, showing them that bravery was not only in action, but in thought and integrity. Together, they built a quiet legacy, one of respect, ingenuity, and honor. One quiet evening, as the Pathfinder drifted past a cluster of luminous nebulae, Lyra reflected on the journey. She thought of the market where she had been sold, of the crate that had confined her, and of the 5 credits that had once defined her life. "It feels strange," she said softly to Jace. "To think that number ever mattered. Now it seems meaningless compared to what we've done." Jace smiled, watching the nebulae shimmer in shifting colors. "It never mattered. Value is not in money, it's in action, in respect, in intelligence. Humans have always had that value. You've just helped the galaxy see it." Lyra's heart swelled with pride. She had proven that humans were more than underestimated creatures. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and honorable beings capable of shaping the galaxy. And she had done it without weapons, without power, without coercion, only with knowledge, patience, and moral courage. As the Pathfinder sailed onward, Lyra felt a quiet thrill. There were countless worlds left to explore, countless opportunities to demonstrate human ingenuity. And everywhere humans went, their reputation would grow. The story of a girl once sold for 5 credits had transformed into a story of infinite worth. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were capable of inspiring respect, building alliances, and shaping the galaxy through intelligence, creativity, and honor. Lyra smiled, looking at the stars. "We've only just begun," she said softly. Jace nodded, his gaze steady and proud. "And with humans like you leading the way, the galaxy will never forget it." And so, the Pathfinder sailed into the endless night, carrying not just its crew, but the enduring proof that humanity once overlooked, dismissed, and undervalued was a force of ingenuity, honor, and infinite potential. No longer measured by 5 credits, humans were worth far more, worth every star, every planet, and every possibility the universe had to offer. And for Lyra, the journey was far from over. It was just the beginning of a galaxy learning to respect what it had once ignored.